Starting tomorrow, look out for these bright yellow Teslas. They're offering point-to-point rides from places in downtown Tampa. Think of them as your modern-day yellow cabs, only this time they're all electric powered and right here in downtown Tampa. While Sarasota no longer relies heavily on the circus industry, it still remains a pivotal location when it comes to the history and global impact on circus culture and heritage. For folks unable to physically visit downtown Sarasota, there is a replica exhibition available online where you can browse through the entire project, learn about the artists and the stories behind each painting. And that's how come we are here today. Great weather, blue skies, and behind me are 6 food trucks serving up some culinary delights. And on that note, guys, I think I'm going to have dinner here. I'm going to walk around and see what they have to offer. They're going to be here till 9 p.m. So you guys can come on and join us because I can't finish all this food by myself. Okay. Now, before I give it back to you here, I learned a new game today. It's called Volley Pong. Does that sound familiar? I'm going to take a shot and see how I do. Maybe I could win a prize.
Oh my gosh, don't take out the camera.
Oh, no. I need one more. Give me that. Let's try it again.
There you go.
Oh, no, didn't work.
I play this on a much smaller scale.
Back to you guys.
You won't be my beer pong partner.
That's what I'm
Thank you, Adaure.
This year there is no petting zoo because they had an incident last Sunday involving one of the staffers of the petting zoo mishandling the remains of a baby goat. But the organizers say not to worry. They still have lots of live animals that kids can interact with and get to learn a lot about farm life and the agriculture industry. And I've got one more treat here for my friend here. Let's try it. And then here, okay. All right. Oh, he got it. All right, now reporting live in Sarasota, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay.
Adaure, you are brave there.
Why do we tell the story?
That's the question at the center of this award-winning Caribbean calypso tale, set in the early post-colonial French island of Antilles. It's a coming-of-age story of a dark-skinned young peasant girl named Timoon, who falls in love with the light-skinned biracial son of a wealthy elite family.
Colorism has been something that has been around for so long, and I have to work 3 times harder than someone maybe his color.
Orphaned and adopted after a hurricane, Timoon learns tough life lessons on her journey to discover love and purpose.
Everyone is here for a reason. So to know that and put that inside of another little black girl somewhere, that you're here for a purpose and you're here for a reason, whatever that may be, that's something that can be a real takeaway from this show.
Southwest Florida adores this space because it really helps the walls to fall down. We have an opportunity to brighten up our corner of the world and bring more understanding.
For founder Nate Jacobs, the purpose of such a theater institution is not only to create spaces for artists of color, but to serve as a steward for such Black-centered stories and history, often overlooked by mainstream institutions or inaccessible to smaller communities.
I hear the conversations in the hallways. They say, oh my God, I feel at home at this theater. If we don't tell our stories, who will? Nobody else is responsible for keeping that culture alive.
We want to make people feel things, you know, they should leave out of this theater feeling something.
And to answer the question why?
Love is why, grief is why, hope is why, faith is why, you are why we tell the story.
And to the music they got, we dance.
In Sarasota, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay. To the unassuming, this 1,400 square foot structure is just a simple looking old house. But the blue bungalow with orange doors carries a wealth of history.
This house was built in 1926 by Leonard Reed.
Born in Greenwood, South Carolina in 1881, Reed was one of Sarasota's pioneer black settlers and an icon in the community after he arrived in 1900.
On the very porch where we're partly standing, kids would pass by and books would be handed out to the children in the Overtown community.
Who is Leonard Reed?
Leonard Reed is an African-American man, very, very brilliant he came through Sarasota on a boat with some Italian fishermen. They were headed to Cuba to get into the fishing industry, and they stopped by Sarasota to refuel.
According to his family, Reed got distracted by a celebration in the black community of Overtown in the present-day Rosemary district of downtown Sarasota.
By the time he went back to the boat had already left him, and so he was left here in Sarasota to figure it out, to find a way for himself.
Reed, who was educated, hustled hard doing odd jobs and found his way to working for and becoming a right-hand man to Colonel John Hamilton Gillespie, who was Sarasota's first mayor.
He lived in the Gillespie house. He ran his household. He was with Gillespie as he mapped out golf courses here and throughout the state of Florida.
Reed helped design some of those golf courses, became a community leader in the African American community, and founded the second black church, the Payne Chapel. And while he faced racism and discrimination common at the time, even in the constant company of Mayor Gillespie,
his life was a lot different than other African Americans. I mean, you know, he would be considered living in the big house. You know, he was running that house.
Reed married his wife, Eddie Coleman, in 1901, later built their home in Overtown, and moved from the Gillespie home. What was the significance of moving this house from this previous location to this current location?
This is about the center of town, almost. People see it. You know, our activities are going to be promoted just because of the location where this house is. And this is city-owned property. And so it's special.
In Sarasota, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay.
10 Tampa Bay's Adaure Achumba shows you why the community is saying goodbye, Dolly.
A Sarasota staple since 1951, the Waffle Stop is known for its classic American breakfast and lunch, its most famous guest, and its dedicated final owner.
A lot of tears. So sad that I'm leaving. They say this is one of the last breakfast mom and pop restaurants around.
Thank you, dear.
So much.
Okay. Have a great day.
For more than 34 years, a 76-year-old Dolly Hollinger has been getting up early.
I get up at 2 in the morning and get here between 3 and 3:30 without fail for the last year.
Serving eggs at the 74-year-old Waffle Stop over medium or sunny side up.
Everything's made to order. Nothing is prepared ahead of time, except for the sausage gravy.
Whether it's for the crowd at breakfast, lunch, or brunch, the food's got a crunch.
I enjoy coming in here. This is really a great place. She's just a wonderful lady.
This is a yummy, yummy waffle. Sarasota, you're going to miss this.
We love Dolly to death. And sorry to see her close and go, and we've always called it the Elvis place.
Over the years, lots of famous people have popped in here at the Waffle Stop for some of Dolly's fluffy pancakes. But in 1956, before she started working here, the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley, dined here.
He had 3 eggs and 3 glasses of milk and toast and home fries and lots of bacon.
We are the oldest restaurant in the South, or we were the oldest.
As retirement calls, Dolly is putting away her apron and backing up from the sizzling bacon.
And it's taken its toll. I have a few medical problems that I think stress is the main problem.
Trading maple syrup streams and waffle dreams for a life of rest and leisure.
I don't have any plans. I'm really worried and upset. But everyone tells me I'll be okay.
Well, we're just going to go like different places, like go see like Selby Gardens and stuff that she's never had time to do. We love you, sweetheart.
Regulars are amazing. They've kept me going.
Dolly, we wish you well. And thank you very much for all the many good breakfasts that you've given us over the years.
To Dolly.
To Dolly. Okay.
In Sarasota, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay. There aren't enough Christmas decorations to hide the devastating impacts of the recent hurricanes. All around here in Siesta Key, it's in the faces of families trying to take a break to enjoy the holidays. And for the businesses, it's in their bottom line.
It has been different, a lot quieter around everywhere, and definitely a bit more subdued. But I mean, like, we've tried our best to enjoy ourselves because we're on vacation as well.
It's good and bad. It's good for us because it's not as busy, but I do feel bad for the local places.
Mixed feelings from locals and visitors alike this Christmas as some return to a getaway now unfamiliar, with many still repairing damage from Hurricanes Helene and Milton.
It's definitely shocking to see fences down and trees down, and it is definitely emotional for sure, and knowing that a lot of these houses were flooded and need to be torn down and rebuilt. But also, the Sarasotans are really resilient, and you see that because they have cleaned up so much.
With the cleanup being the main focus, it begs the question, is Christmas missing in Siesta Key this year?
I see it. You still see everybody wearing Santa hats, and they're still doing the beach thing. I mean, it's here. I don't think you're going to ruin a Christmas spirit with a little bit of water.
We just try and make it as normal as possible. We came a couple of months ago, and it was like really quiet. And now stuff opening back up again is obviously good to see.
While the watchwords for many here this season are resiliency, recovery, and rebuilding,
You have to be impressed and give yourself a pat on the back. I mean, we weren't from here, so coming from the outside in, it's very clean. Everything's nice. The beach is beautiful. I mean, be proud of yourself. It's very, very, very nice.
The message this holiday:
take care of each other, look out for each other. You know, I think the hurricane taught us that really nicely. If there's a way you can help your neighbor, please do so, because this season should be all about giving and caring for the people around you as much as possible.
In Siesta Key, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay. Living with autism, Kate Flowers says she was forced to quit ballet in her late teens.
It was never good enough, and I was only worthy of getting the good roles or the good parts or the featured roles if I fit into the perfect ballerina box in terms of what my body looked like.
It's a standard that affects both men and women in the world of dance.
Tall, very thin, very lean, no curves, perfect feet, long limbs. There's a whole list of standards that exists.
Leading many to struggle with harm. It's something 24-year-old Avery Held knows too well after battling an eating disorder and injuries just to fit in.
For the rest of my life, I will always deal with the value of who I am as a dancer correlates with my body.
Not anymore. Flowers and her partner Martin Rosaire, both on a mission for inclusion, set up Azara Ballet. It's a non-profit ballet company open to dancers of all body types, including folks considered neurodivergent.
Or either autistic or ADHD or OCD or some other diagnosis.
Here at Azara, there's not even a talk. There's no pressure. There's no talk of just remember, your body is your vessel and it needs to look good for the aesthetic. There's none of that here. It's, you're a dancer, no matter what body you have, and just do what you love.
And that they are, putting a short and sweet spin on a Christmas classic loved by many.
We do the second act of Nutcracker, which includes all the diverts, kind of picks up where Clara gets her Nutcracker doll.
And the second half is contemporary and festive holiday music and dancing that's just really fun and uplifting for the whole family.
Now heading into a third season, Flowers says the support from the community is a sign they're on the right track.
The overall vibe is that we love to dance, and we're all here to do the thing we love without judgment.
In Bradenton, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay.
I grew up under the understanding that they're not your friends. A police officer is a human, just like we are. And it's nice to know the person underneath the badge, underneath the vest and things like that.
And with a dab of paint and the swoosh of a brush, folks are getting to know such persons like Officer Whitney Bentz.
What are we painting?
Honestly, I have no idea.
No idea?
Yeah, what came out.
Hey, that's okay. I like to paint whatever comes out too. I'm working on a flower over there. The leaves were just not for me today.
After a successful inaugural season in the spring, Painting with Police is back this fall, part of efforts for positive interaction with police officers beyond the headline.
Ever since 2020, all the police officers and everything that they've been through and things like that, there's police officers that are just worried about going to work because of something that happened in a whole nother state, a whole nother city. But people are still treating them badly because of what another human being did over there in a different area. Just being a police officer, every day life's on the line, whether you know it or not.
Today, also reaching out to seniors in need of company.
I feel like Picasso right now, so, it's just a personal feeling right now.
Okay. After conversations about artistic flair, the participants, police officers, and organizers tell me that they're already seeing results of interactions such as this one in the community.
The officers, even though they're still in uniform, that they're people, that they're not just out here wanting to arrest. They want to be able to bridge that gap and have the conversation with the community in a fun, safe space.
Especially in neighborhoods like the ones that we reside in, there's a bad stigma between police officers and the average citizen. So I know it's not all of them, you know what I mean? And I know that the purpose of a police officer is important.
During the summer, other similar partnerships targeting youth helped police recover several stolen handguns. They're hoping conversations and connections fostered here lead to safer streets.
The stronger community we have, the more relationships we have, the better, safer environments that we have.
Can you get a high five? Oh, yeah. In Sarasota, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay.
A different kind of community policing there. Painting with police.
It was a time when mobs of white residents rampaged the land, terrorizing their black neighbors, with at least 6 known cases of lynching in the area.
Most of the lynchings happened in the early 1900s, and at that time, Sarasota and Manatee County were one county. Then one of the lynchings happened in the 1930s.
Sometimes aided by local law enforcement, the lynchings followed a pattern familiar across the country, but most especially in the segregated Jim Crow South.
A so-called interaction with a white woman, and then the white woman goes home and tells her family, and she gets her brothers and her uncles all riled up, and they come after the black man.
There were nearly 5,000 such documented lynchings of African Americans between 1877 and the 1950s. Many of them now remembered at the Equal Justice Initiative's National Memorial for Peace and Justice in Montgomery, Alabama, including Cesar Sheffield, lynched in Lake Park, Georgia in 1915.
My grandfather being an architect, what kind of family wealth was stopped at that moment that he was lynched.
The 5-year process to get a marker similar to this one in Tampa for the Manatee and Sarasota lynching victims was a joint effort by various community groups. However, residents of the historically black community of Newtown were opposed to placing it there.
It's very traumatizing, and it's the right decision to help with the healing, not to have the marker in Newtown, to have it someplace else where other people can see it.
That marker will be located here on the grounds of the Unitarian Universalist Church on Fruitville Road. These 3 concrete benches have been positioned right under a nearby tree so that people can come and sit and reflect on the history and impact of racial terror in the United States.
Principles of the Unitarian Universalists include equal justice for all people, that all people are created equally. And it was very important that we step up and help this project.
It's accessible to the public and also along the Newtown Alive historical trolley route.
These lynchings were, an egregious history of this country.
We really do want to honor these 6 documented victims and the unknown victims.
In Sarasota, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay.
F right, F right, F.
A soldier's play written by the late U.S. Army veteran Charles Fuller in 1981 is set during World War II in the segregated South and introduces Sergeant Waters.
His army was the closest I figured the white man let me get to any kind of authority.
He's proud of his race. He feels like his race should be honored and respected. And he goes about to gain that honor and respect for his race.
Patrick Robinson plays Waters and says some of the conflicts involving racism, which many service members experienced then, could even apply to today.
Most times those stories are swept under the carpet as if they did not exist.
For those behind the scenes, they say creating and investing in avenues for diverse stories allows talent's dreams to flourish.
Being in technical theater requires a certain amount of education, and to get that education, you have to have access. To be a designer at the professional level.
You lead by example, whether it is giving your time, your money, your expertise, mentoring. There's just so many ways that you can be a resource.
And that also includes those filling up the seats.
This one was just multi-layered and deep.
If we want our voices heard, we have to be present.
This is another opportunity for us to see how much alike we are versus how different we are.
It's a fabric of America, and we should acknowledge that.
By the time you overcome the obstacles of your race, this case will be dead.
I got it. And I am in charge.
You don't get rid of ignorance with hatred. You get rid of ignorance with knowledge.
In Sarasota, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay.